We call this meeting to order. Ms. Janelle, would you please bless the meeting?
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the wonderful blessings you have bestowed upon us. We ask you to guide us throughout these meetings today. May we make good decisions based on what's best for our people. We ask you to watch over us and be with families who have lost loved ones, and watch over all of our military troops. Be with those who are lonely and less fortunate. Just lift the burden off their heart. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Shelley, on the roll call.
Yes, sir. Joe Bird.
Honey.
Don Garvin. Jill England.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Julian Coates. Jody Fishinghawk. Meredith Fraley. Janelle Fulbright.
Present.
Dr. Frankie Hargis.
Present.
Chuck Huskin Jr. Hannah Gloria Jordan. Lee Keener. Dick Lay.
Here.
Curtis Snell. David Thornton. David Walking-Stick. Kara Cowan Watts.
Honey.
We do have one.
Okay, now approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to be approved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Baker, second by Lee Keener. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. We'll move down to reports. Anybody here from Talking League, Shop Corps? Executive Director's report, Dr. Gloria Sly.
Mr. Chairman, if somebody shows up, I had several questions around the career services and talking.
We just come back, okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
You have my report in front of you, and if you have any questions, I'll answer them, but I would like to respond to a couple of things from last month. We had a question about Unity attendance with our Tribal Youth Council. This is the last year for the Unity National Conference, so we don't anticipate sending students to that. We're developing a program that focuses more on Cherokee Nation's tribal government and our unities, the entities that we have out there, and having them learn more about our business operations. And also there was a question about a generic computer software program that can span all Cherokee units. We don't have that because the different programs, even in education, they utilize different software. So what we're going to have to do is to figure a way so that we can have a software program that will interpret what the message is coming in from the other softwares, and then integrate all that data for us. But we're going to have to decide what information we're going to keep forever and what we're going to have, the minimum and everything like that. So we're already with the Choctaw Nations because they track their children in real time with the software that they're using. And we went down last week and looked at that so that we can do that. And then later as you go on, Ms. Thompson won't be here for Head Start. She sends her apologies. She had another appointment that she could not get out of today. So but, she will be here next month.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilor Watt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So sequestration's obviously hit now. I know that in the career services or Ms. Kelly's report that there was an immediate impact anticipated for talking with Job Corps. In terms of our other education programs, what is going to be the immediate impact in terms of cutoffs on programs or services for constituents or layoffs?
There won't be any at this point. Everybody has been very careful since the beginning of the fiscal year to cut back their budgets 5%. And so we've been working on that assumption since October 1. And I know that when I analyzed for Head Start what 5% would mean, that's 70 jobs. So, but she says their budget is okay at this point. So we won't see any toward the new fiscal year.
So this fiscal year is fine.
We're fine.
Okay, and that's in terms of Head Start?
Head Start, Johnson O'Malley, our Paul grants.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm sorry, we're having a meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And those are our major governmental funded programs, and the grants. Right now, again, we're being very, very conservative in our spending.
And I think now is the time for next fiscal year's budget planning, correct? So it doesn't look promising. It looks like we'll have additional cuts under the continued resolution. Are we sending letters to like the Johnson O'Malley parent committees and the schools and notifying them? How are we preparing folks that there may be even more cuts or at least flat?
Well, we just finished with the Johnson O'Malley conference statewide yesterday. So they gave us a job to the Johnson O'Malley programs at the different schools. And within Head Start, they are looking to talk to parents all the time. They have their parent advisory committee and everything. And so they've been talking about this since October 1, that we will have more. Because a year and a half ago, when I was in D.C. with the BIE, they said that we would suffer 15 to 18% cut.
Okay.
So we've kind of been preparing for it, because we've had these dire predictions for that long.
In terms of your budget formulation, how's it looking for actually sending? I know we had budgeted for the ACES conference for our students, that they weren't sent. Will we continue sending our youth to the National ACES conference? And what are we going to do for the Youth Tribal Council? Because I thought we budgeted for that. And then the kids our youth leaders are saying they have to raise money to go to anything. So I'm trying to figure out what's really happening and what to anticipate in upcoming budget hearings.
It's kind of a self-help thing, and then that's also, like I said, we want to focus more on the 14-county area to have more students to participate in these activities. And so what we're looking at is that each county will have its own ACES science fair, and then they will come to Cherokee Nation as their national science fair, and then we'll go from there. So we want to make it more available to all public schools instead of, and we're going to work on forming more ACES chapters.
So this is just the juniors and seniors that would go to the national conference, so that would bridge them into summer internship opportunities outside the nation, bigger opportunities at like a Harvard or MIT, that they go to that national conference, which is separate than the science fair.
Right. And hopefully we can continue to do that, but with the cuts that are coming up, we don't anticipate it. So that we are budgeting, and we're looking for a 10% cut, and when you do that and try to look at all of the area schools, then we need to do something that's a little more local. And so we're looking at that.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Slide. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Counselor Hargis.
Hi, Dr. Slide. I just wanted to say that I attended the banquet for the JON the other night, not last week, and Shelley and Rita did a wonderful job there representing Cherokee Nation, and I had a lot of positive comments about the whole thing overall, and I just want to commend y'all for your involvement in that. And I was also approached by a lady from, I believe it's Choctaw Nation, that was asking if, or telling me that they set aside $50,000 to donate to the National Johnson O'Malley. Do we do a donation to the National?
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Counselor King.
Thank you. Dr. Slide, on the youth councils, they just had their elections recently, and how are they going to cope with the redistricting?
Well, we're kind of leaving that decision up to them, but they are supposed to marry you, so we're seeing if they come to the logical conclusion that they should have, the different, abide by 15 districts. But remember, they're in leadership training, So we facilitate their discussions, we don't tell them what to do, because as leaders, we facilitate discussions, but we don't tell you what to do, you know, so. But we will, at some point, they will get it.
And have you put a number, or someone put a number on their budget, the youth council budget?
I haven't, but there is one, I don't know what it is. I don't always get down to those details, so.
Okay. Would you mind reporting that next month, please?
Okay.
And then I guess the follow-up question to that is that budget frozen, or is it accessible to the youth council? So if no one tells them what to do, can they decide what to do with that, or is that mandated to them?
It's kind of mandated, just like there's a youth budget. But the other thing is that we have a statement issued from administration that is non-essential travel, and that's part of what figures in immunity as non-essential travel. But we do need to look to their education as leaders and getting them to prepare to lead within some capacity of Cherokee Nation at some point.
But they would be at a disadvantage if we're frozen.
This isn't frozen, no. It's just that we have the guidelines that Cherokee Nation things down to all the programs, and so we have.
And that's in what was the last month? But before that, they weren't able to access it.
Well, they were able to access it. And you know, but again, it's like you can plan, and they wanted to have a benefit powwow, but they were a month out and hadn't done anything. No pre-planning. And they're thinking, man, that's hard, we'll get it. So now they have another function planned for June, and here's what's, you know, we try to give them logical steps to go through. You've got to do this, do this, do this, do this. And then, you know, if you give them the steps and they don't follow, you kind of repeat and repeat till that, you know, you say, well, we need a flyer, we need this, and you have to have a place to have the benefit, you need time, you know. Just things that hopefully is just comes as a habit to us and without thinking about it.
Is the bike ride underneath your institute?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, who would that be this year?
If there's a committee looking at it, and I'm thinking that it might come under the deputy chief's budget. But many of the programs that were under our department several years ago, are coming back. They're being reassigned to us. I mean, this Cherokee, we got it back last week. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't answer your specific questions.
Okay, Councilor Amon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Slide, is your department or education department, are they trying to form a 501c3 or a national legal treasury for a Roger Shawnee?
Not that I'm aware of. We're not. Education department's not. Because remember, you have the Education Foundation downtown that's supposed to do fundraising for education and cultural programs and libraries and stuff. So, yeah. So we're not, to my knowledge, involved in anything like that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Dr. Schultz?
I think the Living Treasures program is under the Cherokee Nation, or not under Cherokee Nation Foundation. I think we've got actually a resolution or legislation that sort of spells out how the committee that makes the choices is to be established by, in actual fashion by appointment of the chief and confirmation of this body and so forth. So,
Right. All programs are under Cherokee Nation, but the foundation that raises funding for them, that's not federal, but from other givers have donated.
Cherokee Nation Foundation has never raised funds for the Living Treasure program. It has never done that in the past, and so if they're doing that now, that's something new. And I'm totally
And if they're
unaware of
forming
that.
another 501(c)(3), it's not Cherokee Nation because we have that foundation in place,
Okay.
the Education Foundation,
But the Living Treasures program is not under that foundation, and so I think what the question is about is another 501c3 being founded specifically for this project, and if And you're saying, no, it isn't, but if that
Well,
was
I'm
the case,
saying
that
we're
would...
not a part of it. I'm
Well-
not saying it isn't. I'm saying we're.
Well, if it is, then that's, I think, in violation of the resolution that's been passed by this body and the way that this program has been operated. So can you look into that at
Sure
all and
can,
see
yeah, I wasn't
for
aware
sure
of another
whether-
foundation.
Yeah, Diane, would you
whether that's happening?
look into that resolution for us?
Yes.
Okay.
And then my, what was my other one? It's completely gone out of my head, I'm so sorry.
We can come back to you.
Come back to me if you would,
Okay.
yeah.
And
On the,
Councilman Byrd, we have Mr. Qualls from Sequoia High School here
Okay.
to respond to some questions that you had last month about
Sure.
Sequoia.
before we go to him, on this change from Unity, you said that's going to be the last conference.
Mm-hmm.
With the youth, would you make sure when you're doing the reorganization there, revising some of the goals and objectives, you make some of those community-based where they fit more with what our tribe is trying to do?
Yes, we will be. Again, you know, my apologies for not being able to respond to this because we've had it less than a month.
I know. And,
It's been
yes.
reassigned to us,
Yeah.
so we're
Well,
having.
we commend you for having foresight on the budget cuts that we're facing right now. Okay. Mr. Qualls? Thank you, Dr. Sly.
Mr. Chair and council, good to be here. OSSAA update that's been talked about and discussed is pretty much done. The school was required to turn in an audit, and at the hearing last month, the audit was reviewed before we started the hearing, but then I gave a presentation to the State Board of Directors of the OSSAA, which was 16 superintendents from around the state. They pretty much, at the end of the presentation that I made, they made a recommendation to approve the audit, and they did. It was 16-0. They also handed down no more sanctions against the school for this school year of all the wrongdoings in the past years. And also, we're still a member in good faith and still able to compete in the playoffs, which I felt like if someone had asked me the same questions that asked that of me in September, October, I wouldn't have been able to answer that question. We could have been put on some type of probation or suspension, not able to play in any playoffs for a certain number of years, or we could have been barred from the OSSAA Activities Association. So with that being said, it makes last week's participation that much sweeter with our teams making it to the state tournament, because we sure could not have competed this year if they had so ruled, or in future years. Our boys wound up in the semifinals of the state tournament, winning the area tournament. Girls also made the state tournament this year, which was a great turnaround in the last 3 weeks of the season. I don't know how many people gave them a chance to make it, but they pulled together and did a great job. Also last week, we had a high school state champion in powerlifting, 145-pound class weight, who got a state championship and would not have been able to compete. Our heavyweight was state runner-up. The kid that beat him broke a national record. And we also had a kid that was third place at state last week. Any questions or comments?
Ms. Council,
Thank you. Congratulations to all athletics accomplishments and such. Can you speak to how well we're doing academically?
Well, our academic team placed, and that's been a couple of months back, in the academic regional, which I think is high as they've scored in a while, from my understanding. This is my first year there, and I can't go back past this year, but that was kind of what the coach had indicated.
What's our average GPA like in our ACT school and such? I don't remember if I read that in a report or not.
Well, our GPA won't be out until after this school year is completed. And same way with ACTs, because there's a couple more test dates for ACTs for this school year.
And then you'll be reporting on those for us?
I can. Sure can.
That's been provided in the past, so I would appreciate it.
Well, we could give you a report during mid-year, but those wouldn't be true indicators for the entire year because we have to make tests.
I know parents would want to just look at the end of the year report card. They'd probably want to look at 9 weeks in the semester. So I think as our responsibility to the school, I would appreciate even the midterm information.
Sure, we can get that
It's been
figured.
provided in the past. That would be a good benchmark. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Councilor Hargis.
How many Gates Scholars, I know they just announced their semifinalists. Do you know how many made the semifinals?
14,
14.
which is a great number.
It is a great number.
And I'm going to give that to you in a handout here when I conclude my report.
That Gates Scholarship is a great blessing for anyone that receives it.
Our teacher does a wonderful job.
Who made that be?
Who is that? The teacher?
Augusta Smith.
Yeah.
Our students did a great job, and she's a good coach. One of my philosophies is to be a good teacher, you got to be a good coach. And to be a good coach, you got to be a good teacher.
Those children are very lucky. I've helped several from Adair County that have applied for that, and about 6 of them have gotten it. And like I said, it's a great blessing.
We had 30 nominated, and that's a huge number. And we had 14 make the semifinal list, and that will come out in April. Award winners.
Okay. Councilor.
Leroy, of the 30, that 30 that were nominated, that was the biggest amount we've ever had nominated, isn't that correct?
As far as I know.
And 14 making the first cut is one of our largest numbers ever. Is that also correct?
That's an astronomical number
For a school the size
for any
of
school.
Sequoia,
Absolutely.
it may be the highest number across the nation for one school.
I would say it's a,
So I would say our academics is probably doing pretty good right now.
well, we've got some kids that are college bound, and we're proud of their efforts.
Well, thank you for the efforts that you put in this year and your staff, and would you convey that to them?
I sure will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Watt.
Thank you. I went through that chart and didn't catch it, so it's in your report, actually, Mr. Qualls, about the average ACT, and it looks like it's like 17 and a half out of, I guess it'd be 35 on the ACT. What is your end goal for college prep and college entrance? Because I don't know that that average is going to make college entrance, college prep.
That average will not, but you got to keep in mind that some are career tech kids, and some aren't going to go to college. We've got some on the higher end of that spectrum, and they've encouraged all the kids at Sequoia to take those ACT tests. So we are trying to develop some strategies to start improving our ACT.
Okay.
Like I said, this is my first year there, and we're trying to address all the issues, especially ACT.
And it doesn't clarify in the report, like whether or not that's even sophomores or freshmen, students possibly taking the ACT.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be good if that would be broke out by age group, and I can't remember, I think we've tried to address this before in committee, and I don't remember what the end result was, but
We can break that
if we
down.
could better understand. And if you know, I mean, I think it would be valuable to know if they're not on a university path versus a career tech path, that those would be separate as well, so we better understood what was really going on for the students that were going to college. So I think we have a commitment to those students and parents. Thank you.
Well, Councilor Fishenhoff.
Paul, here a couple of years ago, they used to report to us 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th all together.
Okay.
About a year ago, I asked them to take out the 9th and 10th graders because I wanted to get an actual view of what they were
Right.
with the juniors and seniors, the ones that, because there was some debate there about they had the whole class take regardless of where they was going or not
Yes, ma'am.
to college, because that was skewing some results. And I was about to tell you, over the last several years since I've been on council, the ACT has always hovered around 17%. And that's why I started watching it, like I said, a couple of years ago, because I didn't feel that that was high enough compared to our other schools.
Right.
But up till now, the report y'all's gonna get, we'll have the 9th and 10th grade, and they just started breaking them down maybe this past year, about a year, maybe 2 years ago when we started asking.
Yes, ma'am.
But I too would like the whole council to know what we're gonna do to work on, with the changing over there, what we're doing about working on the scores of the schools. And I appreciate that for the whole council.
I just want to reiterate and touch on what Ms. Fishingham said. We do encourage every child in 10th, 11th grade does take the ACT at Sequoia. Now, at the other schools, only a select group of students take the ACT. So that's where you may see the big discrepancy in the scores. We don't differentiate because who knows, somebody who says they're going to VOTEC this year may be wanting to go to college next year and they're going to need this. So, yeah. And they need to know how far they gotta go to get there. Yeah. But that is a difference.
And I've started watching it, and I'm glad y'all taking it serious about trying to raise the scores. I appreciate what y'all doing up there.
Thank you.
Councilor Murphy?
So they start taking ACT at 10th grade there at Sequoia?
They can start in the 9th. My son took it in the 7th grade.
Yeah, both my sons at Stillwell were in the homework classes, and they started taking ACT in the 7th grade.
They're
So,
encouraged to take it as many times as possible. It's like basketball, you practice to get better. Somewhere in the future, you know, we'd like to kind of streamline our college-bound kids and get other kids into the career tech.
the earlier they take it, like she said, that, or, you know, you remarked, they know what they're facing. And so the earlier they take it, the better off
Sure.
they are.
Absolutely.
Councilor Watts?
Councilor Coates, did you have your hand raised before me?
I had my hand up, I don't know if it was before
I
you or
think
not.
she was before me, just to, and then it
I think
doesn't
yours was
matter.
higher, that might have been it, but go ahead, Councilor Watts. Coates?
Well, I just wanted to say that Cherokee Nation Foundation does not handle the Living Treasures program, but Cherokee Nation Foundation does do, and has done for the last couple of years, some supplementary things around ACT, and Sequoia has been one of the schools that's been a part of that pilot. And for those, it's a program of 5 days, not 5 consecutive days, but 5 sessions. And for the students who have participated in all 5 of those sessions, they've been able to raise their ACT scores by as much as 5, and in a couple of instances, even 7 to 10 points. So this is obviously a program that has really been very, very beneficial to those who will actually do the 5 sessions and stay with it. And so I just would really encourage continuation of that type of thing, because 17 is not a particularly impressive score, I don't think, and we have demonstrated that there are ways, you know, that
I've looked
that
at
it can
past
be
year
done.
scores, and it's hovered around 16 and 17. One thing that Dr. Sly mentioned is when you test everybody, it's going to pull down the score just a little bit. But, you know, we'd like to test people to see where they can fall, and that's where counselors will come in. I agree with the program that you mentioned. At Tahlequah, we put in a pre-ACT class, and it was in the schedule. And I know our Indian population went from 19 to a 21.3 in about 3 years' time, which was outstanding because it was higher than Tahlequah High School's. It was 21.0. So there's some things that can be done with ACT. Given time, I think we will get there.
Yeah. I know on average they were, when they would retest people at the end of these 5 sessions, that they were on average bringing them up from about a 17 to about 22. And they had a couple of people that were approaching 26, 27 even. So
Sure.
I think that's pretty.
When you get
That's pretty
24,
significant.
25, you're talking scholarship money
Yes, you are.
from the ACT
Yep.
for different colleges.
That's right.
Know of a guy that took it 18 times. A lot of money. And it's like practice.
Thank you.
Councilor
Chairman,
Watts?
thank you. Mr. Quills, do you have a responsibility for immersion school and charter school? How does that work now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there was that recent article from the Cherokee Phoenix about whether, I guess maybe it was the transition years going from Cherokee classrooms to English. How are we addressing that, and what is the status? Is the charter school working? I don't know that we've got a report, because I think we've accepted money from the state, correct?
Yes, state funded.
Yep. How is that working? And I know there were issues that parents raised again around non-Indians that are being served. And like, will they be able to transition or not, because they were grandfathered into the Immersion school? They're still there, they're being highlighted over our Cherokee students, and then whether or not they'll be going on.
Non-Indians.
Yeah, there is. I think it was brought to your attention,
Yeah,
is what I
I've seen an
understand.
email.
So,
We're gonna have to
Hasn't
look
been
into that.
discussed.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
yes.
Sure.
Okay. The children are being transitioned at 6th grade. At 5th grade, they're taught English and through Cherokee language. And then in 6th grade, about half of their classes are English and half are Cherokee, because we don't have Cherokee teachers at 7th and 8th grade to be able to teach those content subjects. And so we're hoping that as they, and we think that if they have the non-Cherokees, because this is a state-funded school, that means we cannot discriminate. But Sequoia is still, they have to meet Sequoia criteria to be able to attend school there.
Starting in 8th grade. 9th.
9th grade,
Okay.
because it's different funding. 8th grade is still funded through the state. So, and then as they go into the high school. Now, we're looking at how they score, because if the tests were in Cherokee, the children would score much higher than they do now, but the school got a C. I thought, whoops, they're doing something wrong, or we're doing something very good. We've either got the brightest Cherokee students that can perform as well in English as other students who are taught through the English language, or else that's what we're really teaching in the school. But our children seem to be on track when we test them with English methods, especially for gifted, talented, and those kinds of things.
Okay, and that family is informed that they will not be able to transition to, and that's clear. Okay.
It's very clear.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd be interested to understand the charter school more. I mean, and maybe it's not maybe now is not the time, but I would assume the administration is going to have an evaluation point on whether or not we need to continue with the charter school relationship and what that means.
I totally agree. I don't think we've had enough. How many years have been into this charter school now, Dr. Slide?
And I don't know what's appropriate when you would evaluate it, at what point.
8 years? Okay. Have we had evaluation anywhere in the past on the charter school?
I don't know exactly what you mean by an evaluation. That would have to be laid out. But every year we have consultants who measure the proficiency of the students in the language. And so we talk about that and their literacy in the language.
Okay.
That's the kind of evaluation we do, because it informs our teachers as to what needs to be strengthened, what needs to be, attended to.
Okay.
So I don't know what you mean by just generic evaluation. I'm not sure, but if you'll give us that guidance, we can do it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I clarify, since that was my question?
Sure.
Thank you. So I think we've only had that relationship with the state of Oklahoma, and there's been a charter school only for the last couple of years.
Right.
Maybe a year, 2 years, 3 at the most.
2 second year.
Okay, not 8, 2.
No.
Okay, because I heard 8 earlier, and I just want to make
That's
sure.
how long we've been in existence. We
As an
started
immersion
this program.
school
Uh-huh.
that was tribally funded, had no relationship, didn't have to accept people.
Right.
So I guess my question is, what is on the where is the administration's decision point? Do we continue with the state of Oklahoma relationship or not? What does that look like, and when will that be evaluated?
Yes.
That's what I'm asking
It's
about.
usually about every 3 years in most educational programs.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Speaker?
Just clarification, this wasn't the current administration's decision to go to a charter school. That was a previous administration that dictated that to us.
Yes.
Just to keep everything clarified. The other point that I would like to make is, I know we place a lot of emphasis on these test scores, but I hope, and I know Leroy and I know Dr. Sly, that you will not forget, we have a commitment to all children.
Absolutely.
If they want to go career tech, if they want to go military, if they just want to go a job after high school, or if they want to go college, we have a commitment to provide the best environment that we can to give them the tools for what they want to do in the future. So the whole emphasis cannot be on just that final test score that might get them into college. We need to be sure that they have the life skills to leave our institution, go out into the workplace, go out into the military, go to career tech, or go to college. Not everybody is college bound. And I know that you all are providing an entire program to take care of every child. And we don't want to lose sight of that. Our commitment is to all the children that go to Sequoia, not just the college bound ones. We do a very good job of taking care of our college bound students, but we don't want to forget our other children either.
We don't.
And I know you won't, and I know you have that commitment. So when we only hear about test scores, be aware there is a portion of this council that wants to make sure every student is taken care of and prepared to leave our institution to go out into the place that they have chosen for themselves. Thank you all.
Okay, point well taken. Councilor Watson.
Well, first of all, Dr. Snipe was talking about, we were a C on the A through F grading system. C is pretty good, right? Because the majority of the schools across the state were in C range. But just to talk about our Immersion school a little bit, is that I think we've missed out on a lot of opportunities on expanding our Immersion school out into the rural communities. Such as Lost City, we lost out on that opportunity. I've taken over that school, and then Bell, that was another opportunity we could have taken over that school. And those are communities that the language is practiced, and the difference is the kids are coming to Tahlequah, to our Immersion school, and a lot of them aren't using it out because they don't have speakers in the house. And I've heard rumor there's another opportunity for us of the school that we may be able to consolidate with, that we probably need to seriously looking at consolidating with our charter school. And in this school is in a rural setting. And I'm hoping that we can look at that when that time comes. Another thing is I was at the state JOM conference this past week, and one of the big keywords at the state JOM conference was integrating culture into our Common Core lesson plans throughout the whole state. There's been an absence of culture that in the planning of the Common Core, and it needs to be. As a matter of fact, I had Diane draw up a resolution for us to pass that as Cherokee Nation, we are ahead of the game as far as getting lesson plans that are Common Core relevant to give the schools as a resource. But the thing is we need to pass a resolution that we can give to our state superintendent and say, all right, us as a tribe, we're making this resource available to all schools in the state of Oklahoma to integrate to your Common Core. And they're trying to do it with the other tribes as well. But we can be, and this is something, Chair, that we can get in the 5 Civilized Tribes meeting, another resolution that we can get passed to integrate this culture into Common Core. So anyways, that's all I was just wanted to touch on.
Okay. I want to thank you for your compliments and the fact that we did miss opportunities, but you have to know that our charter school
is approved and accredited by the state of Oklahoma because we have teachers who are certified. If we went out to any of these other schools, we would not have that, you know, there would be no certified teachers to work out there. Those certified teachers that are Cherokee speakers that could teach in these other communities are retired age now. And so if we could get more students through the language program, excuse me, at Northeastern, or else pick up some younger ones that are still speakers, then we could staff those programs in these rural communities. But that's been our problem all along, and that's why we couldn't even do the state accreditation, because we had to build state tests, the subject area test. We had to, you know, get them through college, and it took us a long time to get all that done.
They just passed a legislation that you don't have to have a degree in the language. I just got an email on that just from Ray Rogers.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I knew they had it out for public comment, but the other thing is that there are two efforts going on for integrating cultural and history in the classrooms, public classrooms, and that is at the state level. I've been working with the resource committee work group with the State Department in developing a template that the schools can utilize to find out about the history of the tribes in their areas.
Yeah.
And then within our own department, we're looking at some curriculum resources that focus on each county. So we're aware of these efforts, and it needs to be beefed up, and we're hoping that we can provide these kinds of resources to our teachers, and you know, as they transition to the Common Core, it's been difficult for them. And then this new teacher evaluation system and all that. So they have a lot on their plates, and we're trying to assist with
Make it
this.
convenient for them. Good. Thank you, Dr. Scott. Thanks, Jerry.
Good comment. Councilor Coates, you still have a question?
Well, not question so much, but just some additional information or comment, I guess. In terms of what we've just been speaking of, and we've also got resources through our co-partner program. I know that Shelley Butler-Allen and Imogene Alexander and Reba Bruner have been working for a number of years at this point with teachers locally and culture and history and some language as well. So we're well down the road, I think, in that respect. And I would agree, far ahead of probably most.
But the Johnson O'Malley program has limited the use of that curriculum to teachers they've trained.
Right.
So I cannot, you know, just say we're going to hand that out. Johnson O'Malley developed that, and they are in control of it. But, you know, the work group, the state work group has requested that they have access to it, and Ms. Butler-Allen, Dr. Butler-Allen was so busy she hadn't responded to me yet.
I
So
can't imagine we denied it, though.
They do have. Yeah. And I guess if a teacher would, you know, attend the trainings, like any teacher.
Yeah.
And then thank you. And then the other things it's not simply a portion of this council that is concerned about, you know, all of the students, not just the college-bound. I'm sure everybody on this council is concerned in that respect. I think the only reason we're having the discussion about ACT scores is that for that group that are college-bound, that do want that, there are some questions about whether these scores are going to be enough and about ways to raise them. So we understand that that's not everybody's goal, and that's fine. I'm a professor, and I'm the first one to say not everybody should go to college. You know, not everybody needs to, not everybody wants to. But for those who do, this is something they're going to have to do, and we need to help that particular group. I think those that are not college-bound are not going to be even probably looking at the ACTs or taking it or anything necessarily. So I just wanted to say it's not just a portion of this council. I'm certain it's every single person on this body that shares those concerns. And as far as the charter schools, I think that, yes, this was something that was passed under the previous administration. I think it was a unanimous vote. This council did vote on that. And I believe it was unanimous to try this out. So I don't think that, including our present chief, that's right. And so I think that it's just, you know, it's not saying one way or the other, yes, we like this, no, we don't, you know, we're just, I mean, there's just a point at when that you begin to have an evaluation, and you would want that in any case, I would think, whether you tended to think there were problems or not. That's just a smart thing to do, so I just wanted to
When
have
you ask for an evaluation, I would like to have specific criteria that you want to see addressed in that, because we're accredited by the state, our teachers are all certified, we accept all the children, and so I'm not sure what else, and we're testing for proficiency, and we're testing for literacy. So,
I think more the evaluation is we're accepting money from the state.
Right.
And they have criteria that we need to be meeting, do they not?
We need all of it.
Okay, well, that's the evaluation probably that we would like to see, would be.
That's our C.
Something along those lines.
That's our C.
more. Mhm.
A through F.
So-
Yeah.
Well, I think we would like to see a little bit more than a C, you know, a
It's
letter
in your,
grade
it's
of
in your
some sort.
report that we gave you on the A to
Okay,
F report
I
card.
didn't receive my book this month, you know, not
No, it was
living here,
given
so
out
I'm
several months
sorry.
ago. They receive a grade at the end of the year.
I
And so,
second
yeah.
grade.
Yeah, we went over it
I
because
saw
there were
that,
several
but-
schools
Yes.
that received an A, and everyone's trying to figure out how they received an A, because we had
But
model
that's the
schools
thing,
that
it
we
was,
thought
it
received
was
a C.
not, it was
That
not
got
broken
Cs,
down
yes.
as to why,
Yeah.
you know, these grades were received, and I
Well,
think that's.
yeah, in there, we gave you the little pie thing that shows you how the grades were given, 17%. And there's going to be changes in that grading system because 17% of the score was given the bottom fourth quartile, which includes your IEP students. If they didn't make progress, you got an F. If they didn't make adequate progress. And I'm going, ooh. So there's going to be changes in the formula and how it's going to be addressed this year for our schools. But in those packets that we gave you the performance of each school, their grades in math, science, language arts, and a couple of other things. But
Okay.
we've given you as much information as we can drill down to in the State Department's, scoring of these.
So heading in the other direction, if we're looking at, are we meeting state criteria for, for the money that we're accepting, then I guess from the other direction is, are we getting what we want out of the whole thing? And that would be the evaluation that would come from our side, on the other hand, and.
Which is why we have the literacy and the, proficiency tests that we have to see if children are advancing. Because when, I don't know exactly how many times they give it now, but when I began developing a program, we gave it in August and then we gave it in May again. So that we could see how far, and sometimes we gave it in December, because we wanted to make sure they were making progress all year long.
So that's just a good thing to do, whether you feel like you generally support this program or maybe you have some objections to it. I mean, either way, you would want to have sort of a periodic evaluation of this nature, and I think that's all anybody here was saying.
And programs can always improve. We
Sure.
always felt that we were
Absolutely.
lacking because, we need a high score here, we need a high score there. But, that comes with time, and as our teachers get more experienced and everything in that particular classroom.
Thank you.
Are you good? You still have a
Very good.
question?
Yes, so
Let's
as
wind it up.
as the daughter of a learning disability special ed teacher for over 35 years, I too value all students and know that there's a diverse needs in our education system. But I don't care who is chief. Our job is to ask deliberate questions, so it's not combative.
Right.
I'm simply asking, I think, what Dr. Coates got. Are we getting, even though I supported it at the time, I was hesitant personally, because as a public school teacher's kid, I personally do not in general support charter schools. I have heartburn with them. So I want to know, are we getting, for the limited amount of money we get from the state, is it really what we need to continue to do? And that's where I'm coming from. And there may not be any evaluation that Chief Baker or the administration, his staff, decide to do, and that's fine. But I need to know what the answer is, because I need a gut check on that commitment. That's all I'm asking.
And I'll have one final comment here. I was kind of, when I saw that this council or committee passed unanimously to go into charter schools, you know, I had some reluctance to accept it, but you guys were the committee at that time. I just didn't want the state to come down and tell us we couldn't say the prayer, we couldn't say the Pledge of Allegiance at football games or activities. When they got into that, then I knew you guys had made a mistake, and so far that hasn't happened. So with that, I say you guys have done a good job athletically, Mr. Qualls, and academically. You know, keep up the good work to get us out of that bind we had with OSSAA. I mean, we're just lucky to have a team at this point. Dr. Sly, thank you for the budget information and your goals and objectives for some of these programs that we're looking at. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One last comment, all schools are a work in progress. Been in it for 35 years. And when we get to the top, wherever that is, that's what we're working for.
Okay. And we have Miss Diane Kelly arrived along with Meredith Fraley. I'm glad she's here.
Will you come up here now?
Sure.
I apologize. I was over there in my office doing my job, trying to get some information before this committee meeting. Department of Labor contacted us this morning, and they're still cranking out the numbers on Job Corps. And we have another conference call tomorrow. Hopefully things are looking up. It looks as though, based on the amount of money that we have in our underrun, based on the matrix chart they gave us last week, it looks like that we're going to be in a safe haven, we think. Spoke with our new project officer who's out of Washington, and she seemed to think that if we hit those thresholds tomorrow in that conference call, then we're not looking at any layoffs right now.
Good.
So we'll know more tomorrow,
Yeah.
and hopefully I'll have some more to report on. I just wanted to say that the comments that were made in regards to the high school diplomas, the GED, all these things that go on with your college education, we just don't want you to forget vocational training, because that's kind of what we're all about. Job Corps is all about vocational training, and we had a lot of people that called us last week, and we do apologize. Our seating is out in the hallway, the same place as registration. And we had people coming in wanting to put in applications for vocational training, or they were coming in and inquiring about summer youth. And last week, if you've been over at the complex, you'd seen this massive amount of people that were trying to get in to get information in the registration office for this Cobell case. They were lined up all the way down the hall for probably about 4 days. And they were taking up all of our seating, and clients were calling in. So if they called you, we apologize. We did have seating in our respective area, but they couldn't get through the crowds. And in some cases, some of our staff couldn't even get through the crowds. They were basically telling us to go to the back of the line, and we were trying to cut through to get down the hall. So thank God for John Payton and his staff. But we do apologize. So if a constituent calls you about last week, would you please explain to them what was going on and why they couldn't get in, and it wasn't our fault. I want to congratulate Landra Alberti. She's our testing coordinator for the GED. She and her staff person, Chris Thompson, have been very busy testing GED participants. We've been doing a lot of GED testing all over the 14 counties, and we received word that she is third behind Oklahoma City and Tulsa in testing in the state of Oklahoma. So that's quite an accomplishment. Quite an accomplishment. And I just wanted to say that. Ramona Holt, who is our academics director at Talking Leaves Job Corps, is in the process of putting her information together with the other 3 Job Corps centers for our North Central accreditation. And she and Jan Rucker have been very busy trying to get all that lined up. And we're North Central accredited over at Job Corps in our academic area. And Jay wanted me to tell you that we are still #1 in the state as far as the 4 Job Corps centers, and that our ranking is still up there in the top level. And I want to commend the staff over there, because they're doing a really good job under the circumstances with this freeze. And we were told that the hearings should conclude in Washington, and we're thinking that that freeze is going to get lifted, so it won't go all the way up to June 30th. So I'll have more to report on that. So Lots of good things going on. We received word last week. We have a firm that's called P.B. Dewberry that comes in and does an assessment on our construction. They do a feasibility to see if there's anything at the job corps centers all over nationally that needs to be redone. And our gym floor over at Job Corps has been on the list for probably about 5 or 6 years. Department of Labor notified us by telephone last week that they have the money to replace the gym floor, and it'll be a wooden floor at the Job Corps. I think David would probably be glad to hear that. But they told us the deadline to get this finished is May the 31st. And we went out on a limb and told them that we would go ahead and accept it, and we would do our best to try to get it moved on so that we can get that floor done by May the 31st. They're hoping that we can't get it done so they can keep the money, but we're going to try to prove them wrong. Hopefully Becky will come through and help us get that done. We have an adult culinary class that will be starting at Job Corps 2 evenings a week, and this is to help Paul Gerald, Eric Shoemaker at C&D with their food service program. We're trying to get some Cherokee adults in those classes, and we're hoping that this will help him with his pipeline to have people to pull from. We had to move the classes back by about a week because of our text coming in on time. We're also doing security guard training. We haven't actually set these classes up, but we'll be setting them up for C&B probably in the next couple of weeks. And we are in the process of detailing a couple of the staff from Job Corps over to our office. I think you met one of them last week, and they're moving some of the GSA vehicles over too to help with their freeze. Do y'all have any questions?
Have one, Councilor Hobson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you're able to avoid the freeze or the layoffs rather, is that going to affect the reassignment of one of your employees to Veneta for career services from Job Corps?
Will it affect that?
Yeah,
it could, but it may not at this point in time.
Okay.
We won't know anything for sure until tomorrow's conference call.
Yeah, well, keep me updated on that particular position because I was so glad that you were very quick in replacing Nettie. Just want to make sure we.
Mr. Stroud said he appreciated you inviting him to the meeting up there a week ago Saturday. Said it was very enlightening and he met a lot of good people.
Very good. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor White.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you weren't here at the beginning, you missed the equal attention. I had numerous questions for you as well, but we're going to have to cut them short. So don't think we have ignored Voc Rehab or career services.
Okay.
So on Tiger Leaves Job Corps, it did speak to, so you've already spoke to the 2030 jobs that you wrote about in your report. At this time, there won't be that layoff. But maybe I want to make sure and clarify. It says there will be an immediate freeze on new entries.
The freeze started January the 20th. It's national. It's all over the whole United States. And they're saying that it could run through June the 30th. And what we did is we surged the numbers before January the 20th. We went up, our capacity is at 250, and we went up to 282.
Okay, so you were able to accommodate more people?
Yes.
Thank you very much on that. So also, where are we at with day work? Is that still frozen at this time?
Yes, ma'am. It is until we get the carryover dollars coming down the pipe. We're getting calls from a lot of the different work sites asking us about when it's going to start back up. And until we're notified by the finance office that we can release those funds, we're not actually going to be putting anybody in those jobs, except right now we are still serving probably well over 100 shifts in our locations.
Okay, and then on Voc Rehab, I'm getting confusing. Are we still accepting people under Voc Rehab, or have we ran out of money on Voc Rehab?
No, we're still seeing people in Voc Rehab.
Okay, very good. That answers that. And do you anticipate any other impacts due to sequestration other than what you reported on, like talking to the Job Corps?
Brenda sits on the state Voc Rehab board, and Brenda was reporting in our staff meeting that right now theirs is not going to be as quite alarming as some of the other hits. Our workforce program in Washington, D.C. may take a hit. We've been getting cuts just about every year, and they're telling us that they're looking at moving them around we got notification that our Job Corps Center, because we're one of 2 Indian emphasis centers, has been taken completely out of the matrix and moved to the national office. So I'm not really sure what they're looking at, because they're in ETA along with the workforce programs, so I don't know. But I know that these hearings that Virginia Fox, Representative Fox, and Chairman, they had to replace Chairman, I can't remember what his name is, but these hearings that they're having on workforce and education will have effect on what direction they take with all of our employment training programs.
Okay, thank you so much, Diane. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Councilor Hargis?
And I just want to congratulate Landra and Chris, but I also think we need to remember that it's the GED teachers, as a former GED teacher, that gets, the citizens prepared and to that test point to help Landra get that acknowledgement from the state. They work with a lot of people, Cherokee and non-Cherokee, to get through the system and to gain that GED that helps them. So I think we need to acknowledge them as well.
Okay, well taken, thank you.
Speaker?
Yes, would the day work program be more manageable if we limited the day workers to 1 12-week period per year, instead of setting out a couple of weeks and then trying to go for another 12-week track? Would the money be more manageable at that point? Because what I'm kind of thinking is happening is that some of them are falling into a cycle that, okay, I can work 12 weeks, take a couple weeks off, then I'll work 12 more weeks. And that's really not the cycle we want them in. The cycle we want them in is, during that 12 weeks, you've either worked yourself into a job, or we've given you some job skills that you can now go out into the workplace and obtain your own job. I'm afraid we're falling into and I could be wrong, and I want you to correct me, Diane, if I am wrong, but I think we're falling into a cycle where they're using it as a job and not trying to find another job, using the skills that we're giving them during that 12-week period.
You're correct. You're correct. In fact, I probably should have mentioned that the staff, one of their assignments while we've been kind of interimly shut down on the overall program is that they were to go in and redesign the program. And one of the things that Jeff and Kim, Deborah have come up with is that when we start back up, there's going to be a new program developed inside the day training program, which will be for us to cull through those clients that come in that have already been out there in the work world, that have those skills, that don't need all of this other stuff, and then we'll separate them out with the ones who actually need the life skills classes and any of the testing, and do more one-on-one with those individuals. And the number of weeks has been cut back from what it was, so that we can do more with those clients. And hopefully this will help us with the domestic violence clients. We're holding so many slots for those, and then we're also holding so many for these reentry. So there's like 4 different things that we're actually going to be rolling up into the day training program.
And then kind of rolling over to the other side, our departments need to understand that this is not just a temporary workforce for them. That we're really looking for them to where they can to pick up these employees on a long-term basis, and we're not looking for this to become a temporary workforce for them. That's an evolving program, and it's great now, and it was great when we started it up, but now I can see, and I think you've already seen, we need to ratchet it up 2 or 3 more steps to evolve it to the place where it is temporarily, get them into some money, get them into some skills, and get them placed, not to let it become a revolving door. Because I know of folks that call me and say, well, I got put off the work program, day work program, I want back on, and I'll say, well, how many times have you been on it? Well, they've been on it since it started. And that's not really what we wanted the program used for. And I'll say, well, are you trying to find other jobs? Well, no, this takes care of my needs. I can work this program like 3 times a year, and it can be off to do other things during, in between, and I'm thinking, that's not really why we set that program up. And I'm not trying to take away from those individuals, but most of them that had contacted me are capable, once we give them the little extra things that they need, maybe in preparation of resume and some life skill things that, and time management and money management, and I know you're doing all that. Once we give them those skills, they're very capable of going out to the workplace and going into the private sector for employment, but they're not doing it because there's not an incentive, because they know, okay, if I wait 4 weeks or whatever, then I'll just get back into the day work cycle. And we want to push them, it's kind of like push them out of the nest.
Yes.
They're in their comfort zone now, but we want to kind of push them out of the nest and get them into what we created it for, which was the next step to get a permanent job.
Correct. It was designed more for a Band-Aid effect to hold them over for those people who couldn't actually draw unemployment, especially during seasonal time. And it was to assist them with basic needs, whether they could pay their utility bills, house payments, or if they were getting behind on various things, they came in and we were to help them with that. And we do get a lot of referrals from social services. One of the things that we're hoping is because of the freeze that we had with the money situation, C&B has been really good about working with us. In fact, Jamie made the comment to us that it was costing him money because we're turning in those 16-page applications for the gaming license. As soon as they get their gaming license or temporary gaming license, they're in that pipeline to be hired at C&B, and they're turning right around and getting them hired, and then they're having to turn right around and redo those licenses. And it's causing them a lot of more paperwork than what they had anticipated. But it's because of the need of some of these positions to be filled, and we've been able to accomplish that. So it has been successful for C&B.
And while we have a freeze here on the government side because of the sequestration, we don't have that freeze on the business side. The business can still hire. And so if we have folks out there that are still looking for jobs, we need to flow them to the business side and not just say, hey, there's a freeze here, we can't do anything for you. We have a business arm that employs more than the government employees, and they're still hiring. And we need to flow those people to the business arm.
That's correct.
To the entry-level jobs that they still have and they're continuing to offer on a day-to-day basis.
Diane, I hate to cut you off, but I'm going to get this health committee started in 1:30. So, any more questions?
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Molly Jarvis, you have your report in front of you, people, unless you have some questions.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I know we're super short on time.
We're good.
Okay, if you have just a moment, I'd like to point out a couple things. If you've been downtown, we're working on the Capitol building right now. So what's happening there is waterproofing. That's the majority of the work that's being done right now around the bottom of the building. Again, we expect the timeline of this to be finished up around the June-July timeframe. One of the other points in the report was Restaurant of the Cherokee has just received a significant renovation with some new tables, chairs, and booths.
Yeah.
So I hope you'll stop by there. We're currently working on our spring education tours. If you've got schools in your communities who want to apply, we have some grant, what we call grant money, but we make available some education tours for our schools. And then we have, we kind of provide a scholarship for schools that apply, and then we run those through the summer. We're also working with CATA to do some community tours. These will be free, and we'll provide shuttle service. I'll pass these out. And just to raise awareness. Kind of what sparked this idea is we've been working on some promotions, and I have Cheryl Trask with me today. Cheryl actually manages the museums and the retail stores and does a really great job. But one example that I can give you is in the last couple of weeks we did a promotion at Supreme Court Museum for the 185th anniversary of the Phoenix. And we really pushed it out to our employees, both at the businesses and at the nation, at the government side. And we saw a tremendous increase in traffic. due to this, and just visitors to the museum. We had about 50 visitors in there while the promotion was going on. Most of those were new people to the site, and 40% of those went on over to the prison, and another 10% of those visitors went on to visit John Ross Museum. So we're getting, we just want to raise awareness through some promotions and some fun activities for our museum sites and get more of our employees and our citizens visiting those. The only other thing that I want to point out is we have been selected to host IENTA this year. That's the American Indian Alaska Native Tourism Association. We'll be hosting that event at Hard Rock in September. So hopefully we'll see you there. September 20th.
Molly, who do they contact about the scholarship or the
Yes, for the education tours. It will be the same number that's on the flyer there for the community tours.
Okay, all right, thank you.
It's Cynthia Van Den in our office.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions for me? Thank you for your time.
Good report, thank you. Dropping down old business, none pending, resolutions. Yes, Councilor Garber.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend the agenda to include this resolution to recognize one of our Cherokee citizens for gifts.
Okay.
Can I ask maybe, would you want to amend that and put all of these on that are not on right now?
Yes, that'd be fine. Put all of them.
How many are we looking at?
I think we've got them,
The one, I have one that,
at least two more.
There's three.
There's Mr. Garvin's on Ms. Fields.
Yes.
say Ms. Fields, and then the culture and language by Walking Stick.
Yes.
That's only two? Okay, you have those two resolutions. Motion, second? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, agenda's been amended. Okay, the first one is a resolution, recognition of Wes Walker. Hope he signs a contract soon. You want to do that by acclamation?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
She made the motion, I second it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify that, we've already done, this body's already done one recognition, but after we did the first one, he did some more accomplishments, broke some records, and he also established this new foundation to assist kids with education, and so Councilwoman Fulbright wanted to add that, recognize him, so that's all we did.
Okay. Okay, the next, Councilor Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe you have a copy in front of you, and it should also list Councilman Buell England, Councilman Lee Keener, and of course, we'd already added Councilman Fraley, and that was my fault because I thought I had them on the email for Buell and Lee, but they should be listed with us. And this, yes, so, and that's for Cody William West, and he has been accepted to the U.S. Naval Academy with a courtesy appointment from former Congressman Dan Bourne's office. I assume our attorney did the registration check just to make sure he had the blue card.
I did not, I relied on you, Councilwoman.
You have access to registration probably before I do, so I haven't got responses in a couple of weeks, so.
You can ask me, I can find out.
Okay, so it doesn't need to go to full council tonight, because to my knowledge, no one had coordinated to say, yes, it would be at this committee, at council meeting. I think Speaker Jordan had accepted the responsibility to work with Chief Baker's office.
Yeah.
So it'd just be next month's council meeting that him and his family would come forward to be recognized during that time.
Sure. And in the future, I would recommend anybody that comes to the Education Committee, you do your due diligence, and we won't have to rely on council.
What's the individual's name?
Cody William West. His mother's an employee of the Cherokee Nation. But we have to take that step. If he's a citizen, he has to have that blue card. I assume you.
And the mother's name is?
If he said he was Cherokee citizen, I'm sure we're good.
We've been through this before.
I have not this committee.
Yeah.
Some
You
people
take
supply
that
the
offline
information
and
on
look on the
Oklahoma
mother.
Indian Student Honor Society.
He would graduate in 2017 from the U.S. Naval Academy as a second lieutenant. I make a motion to approve with the addition of the sponsors, two
Okay,
sponsors.
motion been made,
And there was a second from Councilwoman Fraley.
second, Fraley? Questions?
And I assume that motion is second subject to him being a Cherokee citizen?
Absolutely, yes.
And my understanding is it would come up, if it passes this committee, it will come up not tonight, but
Next
next
council meeting,
month.
that's correct.
Correct. I had not heard otherwise from you or Chief Baker's office, so I assumed there
Well,
was nothing tonight and had not followed up with the mother.
I didn't think it would be appropriate to have it tonight because we didn't know whether it was going to pass or whether, and now we're having to check to see what tribal affiliation he is. So I think it'd be more appropriate to carry it over on its regular course
Sure.
for 1 month from tonight.
Yeah, it'd just be more appropriate if we did all our due diligence before we ever brought a citizen to the committee, especially in the education.
Which is what I'd asked for, so, you know, we don't get paid as big a buck, so the other people get to do that work for us,
Sure.
and I'd asked for that.
Okay.
So, and especially when I'm not getting responses from registration, I kind of do not care for the tone of some of the responses.
Okay, we have to change the tone then. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, okay. Next, we have the two,
Might I just make one comment?
sure.
We really do need to do this due diligence on the part of each of us individually if we're bringing these resolutions. Don't leave it to others on the council. If this is your resolution, then you probably do need to check to see whether he's Cherokee before you bring it up. I don't believe that's my job.
I
To do
didn't
it for
ask
you.
you to do it, Speaker Jordan.
Well,
I asked
you were
our
using
council
my name
attorney.
fairly freely, and so I'm not real sure what capacity you were using it in.
Let's, point of
I don't
order,
believe
let's
that's
get to
my-
the next agenda
my job.
item, which is a resolution. You guys can finish this outside this committee. Okay, next resolution would be resolution collaborate State Department of Education. Mr. Walkenstick, you have that?
Yes. This is a resolution to partner with the Oklahoma State Department of Education to integrate Cherokee culture into the Oklahoma Common Core lesson plans and to collaborate with other school officials, tribes, and the Bureau of Indian Education to provide traditional activities and teaching tools to produce just more specific curriculum mapping for Common Core practices. And just to make it available to all schools. I'd like to put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Second.
Would the counselor object to adding me as a co-sponsor?
Yes.
And
Okay.
myself, stand object.
Okay. Got a motion, did you second that, Speaker?
Yes. And I would like to be added as sponsor if that's okay with Mr.
Okay.
Walkenstick.
Questions? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it. Councilor Garvin?
Yes. This is a resolution to honor one of our students over at Fort Gibson. She won a national award, and while she was at the White House, she won another national award, so quite outstanding individual. Her name is Sarah Fields. She's an 8th grader at Fort Gibson. I make a motion, we approve her and
Motion
go
second.
to the council tonight.
Okay, motion second by Councilor Fishenhall.
My
Question?
acclamation.
Yes. Could I be added as a sponsor?
I'd like to add this one.
Yes, sir.
Would everybody like to be a sponsor?
Look like everyone's going to be a sponsor next. Is that, you want to do this by acclamation?
Yes.
My acclamation.
Okay, all in
Go
favor?
to Council tonight.
Aye. Okay, by acclamation. Here, Fort Gibson's got a pretty good basketball team, Councilor Garvin.
Number one.
Is that right? I heard that.
Trophy.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Chair, can we
Announcements.
remove full council?
Are all these last two resolutions, you'll move those to full council? Garvin and Walkenstick, okay. You owe her dinner. Okay, yes.
I just want to say congratulations to one of our members of the body here, Councilor Hoskin. on his race, he's number 1, so he's in.
He's still number 1. He's still number 1. No further announcements, I entertain motion to adjourn.
Motion.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.